guys, welcome back to my channel, Shelf Life Extension. My name is Alexis, and today we're going to be doing my September wrap-up, which doesn't encompass too much. Again, like I said last month, I reverted back to my average, which is like roughly 2 to 3 books. This month I read 2 books, mainly because, hey, Hurricane Irma happened, you know, that was a thing. That was, yeah, that went down, and even though I did go to the bookstore beforehand to like purchase books, that way if I was without power I would have like stuff to do. I really only read 1 book like during the hurricane, or at least started on one, and then pretty much I got my power back, so I just started watching TV again and, you know, trying to bust out my homework, which we still had to do even though we weren't in school. And then Shelby was here and we went to Disney and we did a whole bunch of stuff, so I've been doing a lot of stuff on my vlog channel. If you guys are subscribed to me there, you would have seen it. I've been adding a lot and doing a lot, focusing on that channel for the most part. Otherwise, yeah, so we're gonna talk about 2 books today, and then I also have a game that I'm gonna be talking to you guys about, which to me is kind of funny, but hey, maybe you guys might be interested. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So the first book that I read this month that I started during the hurricane was Alice by Christina Henry. Now, I first heard of Christina Henry on Goodreads. I saw that, I think someone, or maybe I don't know, while I was browsing, maybe I found it, I have no idea. She was on Goodreads, and she has a book called Lost Boys, or Lost Boy, which is kind of like a dark retelling of Peter Pan and like the origin story of Captain Hook. And I was like, that sounds like super legit. I kind of want that in my life. So I went to the bookstore thinking that like, oh, I was gonna buy that one. That was the one I was gonna get. But then I saw this one pretty much sitting right next to it. And I was like, you know, a dark Alice in Wonderland story is always super interesting, and it's something that I'm like always into. So I'm like, I think I kind of want to go with this one. So I went with this one instead. So like I just said, as you can tell by like the cover, the white rabbit, and the blood, like it's a dark Alice in Wonderland retelling. So if you have ever read Splintered, I think it was, it's a YA sci-fi fantasy book. I'm pretty sure it's called Splintered, gosh, I don't know. But it's kind of like that, but it's kind of like taking it a step up, making it a little bit more dark, making it a little bit more relevant to women's issues today. So that's one thing that I thought was really cool about this book. So it's about a girl named Alice who is in a mental institution. So she is there, she has these memories of a rabbit or a man that looked like a rabbit, and waking up with like blood on her hands, a knife in her hand, and like having really no memory of it except for these weird flashes. So her parents obviously put her in a mental institution. So she's there for a really long time, and ultimately it's about how she escapes with one of the fellow inmates and how they kind of set out to prove that what she experienced was real, and there is in fact a rabbit, and there is a way to find out what happened to her and to potentially stop it from happening to any other girls. So like I said before, it does focus on women's issues. So it does focus on rape culture, it does focus on like women's independence and stuff. So definitely if that's triggering for you, it is there. It doesn't get like super into detail, but it is there, like it definitely is there. So, and it's one of those things where I don't want that to be spoilery for you. It's really not, because it's like, you know, something went down. It's like, and you just like suspect it. It's definitely there, but you don't know why or how, the circumstances behind it all, and that's really what they're trying to prove, and to prove that she's not crazy, that even though like maybe her mind has developed this image or this concept of what had happened to her, that it was something that happened to her. So I really liked it. I thought the pacing was done well. I liked how all the characters are there, you know, from the original story Alice in Wonderland. I like how they're all kind of like reformed and retold. I like how it's magical realism in there, so there is magic, there is something that's slightly off about the world and the people and what's happening, and again, I really like the fact that it kind of is really dark and really deep. So yeah, I pretty much enjoyed this one. I'd say you guys should definitely check it out if you're interested in sort of like the more weird, dark, deep Alice in Wonderland retellings. Like, I think this is definitely up there. I definitely want to check out her other book, Lost Boy, still, and there is a second book to this. It's called Red Queen, and I have yet to get it, but it is on my list. So yeah. Now the second book that I read this month was The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. Now this is a thick book. But it was recommended to me by my friend Cynthia, who I used to work with at Barnes & Noble, who's over in Seattle still. Oh, I miss her. So yeah, she just had a lot of good things to say about it and kept recommending it to me when I was trying to figure out like what to buy next. And so it's one of those things that I've had for a while, I just never picked it up. But it is one that I brought with me over here because I was like, this feels like what I'm gonna need. But it's about a girl named Miffany Thomas who wakes up surrounded by bodies, like covered in blood, but she has no memories whatsoever. She has no idea who she is. She has no idea where she's at. She's just like, okay, you know, but inside of her jacket, in her coat pocket, there is a letter that is addressed to her from her. So it's this huge conspiracy, you know, this entire thing is the fact that she has no idea who she is, what happened to her, what's going on, but she has all these letters written by her before she lost her memories telling her, this is what happened to you, this is what led up to this, but we don't know who or what is ultimately behind it. All she really knows, and all that Miffany, the original Miffany, right, knew was that somebody was out to get her. So pretty much, the new Miffany Thomas has to follow the advice in these letters, like tread lightly, try and insert herself back into her former life and figure out what happened and possibly find out who's behind it all. The one thing about this book is that it is very informative of the world, which not, you know, isn't a bad thing, it's not, but sometimes it can be really kind of drawn out and really like dense, which sometimes I did skip ahead because sometimes I'm just like, you know, it's well and good, like I understand you're like building up this world and this society for us, but ultimately, and how I feel at the end of it, a lot of it didn't necessarily matter to the grand scheme of things or what was happening. So that's my only gripe with the book. Otherwise, I really like the story. I like Miffany Thomas. I like the entire concept of if you lose your memories, who are you? You know, like the fact that you are new. You are a new person. Because who you are is made up of all your decisions and all your memories, you know? Like that's how you build up your character and your personality. So once that's all taken away, where do you go? How do you start off like a new life knowing that you don't have anything left or you have no idea where you come from or what happened? And what is also really great is along with that the new Miffany Thomas is definitely different from the original old Miffany Thomas. And I love that. Like I love that entire concept. I love that theme. And I just really enjoyed how the author wrote out their two parts and how they kind of coincide and match each other but also resist each other at the same time. It was super cool. I liked the band of characters. I like how weird it gets, you know, because it's like this, it's set in this world where there's magic, there's like supernatural things, and it's like an entire different society that they somehow have to, you know, deal with and work alongside with and work within. And I just loved it. This was a lot of fun. I'm definitely excited for the next book and hopefully I'll get it soon, but you know, this was a really thick book and I'm surprised I even like made it through this. I read it in one sitting, like, but if that sounds interesting to you guys, I say check it out. I really, really liked it. Otherwise, like I said, I did only read those two books. I have started on a couple other books. There's two books that I started, but I haven't really continued with them yet because I'm just not sure how I feel about them right now. But instead of reading, I got myself caught up in a game. And that's really loud. So I'm gonna try and get this. I don't know if it's gonna come out on camera very well, but it is called Regency Love. I'm gonna turn this off on me. The whole reason why I got this game was mainly because I saw on Twitter or I saw on Facebook that there is a Jane Austen role-playing game out there in the world, and I'm like, the fuck, I need that. That is like my dream come true. I want it, but I think it's still being worked on. I have no idea. It's not an app, so it's an actual game, and fuck if I know how to navigate any of that stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna search for something. Maybe there's like an actual game like on my phone that I could play. So I found Regency Love. It is something that you have to pay for. It's like $5, but the entire concept is that you are in the Regency period. You are trying to find your way through society and find yourself a husband or make friends or whatever, and there's so many different challenges. Alright, hopefully you guys can see this, but pretty much when you start a new game, it lets you start a, you know, build up your character profile. So pretty much this, it gives you names, you can change your name, it gives you the option to do random names and last names, however you want to do it. And then it starts going through the different scenarios. It has all these little blurbs telling you, like, going you through the story, blah, 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 and then you'll start meeting characters. And then it'll give you options to respond, and it has all these different options. Some of them are, like, you know, pretty amiable responses. Some of them are super crazy. Some of them are really freaking mean. But that's how you navigate through the world. So you start just like responding and it starts building up your character. All right, and then after every scene, you come back to your bedroom pretty much, and it gives you stuff. And then this is kind of like how you build up your character. It goes right here where it shows you your character traits so far. You can click on it, it shows you. So pretty much it's all based off of your responses. And then here's where you start learning all of your skills, you know. So there's reading, music, dancing, drawing, needlework, and writing. And you have to build those up, and you have to make a certain amount of them before you can go on and continue into the different chapters. So, and with some of these, they have like different questions that you can ask and like learn about the Regency period to gain more points. That way you can bring it back to your room, add into your motivation to unlock more chapters. So yeah, depending on how your responses go, how you go about meeting people and talking to some of the bachelors that are part of this scenario and entire game, it can take anywhere from maybe an hour to 3 hours for a game. I've already gone through it a couple different times, and I'm actually going to show you real quick in extras. There's a whole bunch of achievements that you can unlock, and there's a lot, and I don't know how to get all of them, but you can, you know, there's just a whole bunch going on there. And so pretty much you can go back and play it over and over and try and discover like the different relationships that you can build, the different responses you can make, and what it unlocks and how it changes the story. And I've been enjoying it. I don't know why. Otherwise, again, you do pay for it, but I think it's really fun, and I think you guys should check it out if you have $5 to spare and are interested in a game of that sort. Yeah, otherwise, that is it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will check you guys out later. Bye.